The desert wind howled across the empty Abu Dhabi highway, carrying with it the acrid smell of burning metal and rubber. Emergency lights cut through the pre-dawn darkness as local police surrounded what remained of a luxury sedan. The twisted wreckage told a story of speed, impact, and death. Inside, two bodies. Elena Martinez, 32 years old, her beauty unmarred even in death. Beside her, Tariq Hassan, 29, his athletic frame crumpled behind the steering wheel. To investigators, this appeared to be another tragic accident on a road known for claiming lives. Young couple. Expensive car. Desert highway. The pieces fit together too neatly. But beneath the surface of this apparent tragedy lay something far darker. A story of forbidden love, dangerous obsession, and the price two people paid for daring to choose their own happiness in a world where everything and everyone had a price. Before we continue, if you appreciate deep investigations into real cases that expose the hidden truths behind headlines, please subscribe to Crime Canvas. Your support motivates us to bring you the most thoroughly researched stories, and it encourages us to give our absolute best in every episode. Now let's uncover what really happened. 3 months before that desert highway became her final destination, Elena Martinez was very much alive, moving through the first-class cabin of Qatar Airways Flight 712 with practiced elegance. At 32, she possessed something rare in the aviation industry, the perfect combination of intelligence and beauty that opened doors others could only dream of. Born in Manila to modest circumstances, the daughter of a bank clerk and a schoolteacher, Elena had always hungered for more than middle-class comfort could provide. Languages came naturally to her. Tagalog, English, Arabic, French. By 26, Qatar Airways had recruited her for their most prestigious routes, the flights carrying oil executives, construction magnates, and Gulf royalty between Doha and Abu Dhabi. These routes were coveted assignments. 6 hours of service to passengers who expected perfection and rewarded it generously. Elena learned quickly how to read people, how to distinguish polite appreciation from serious interest. She accepted gifts with grace. Expensive perfume. Luxury scarves. Occasionally jewelry. Each item was catalogued. Each tip deposited into carefully managed investment accounts. Unlike her colleagues who saw such attention as flattering distraction, Elena recognized opportunity. She maintained absolute professionalism while understanding that in the world of ultra-wealthy Gulf businessmen, everything was transactional. Beauty, attention, companionship. All could be purchased. The only question was the price. What Elena didn't yet understand was that some transactions carry hidden costs that compound with interest until the debt becomes unpayable. Rashid Al-Zarani noticed her in March 2017, traveling alone on Flight 712. At 54, Rashid embodied modern Abu Dhabi. Sophisticated, internationally connected, impossibly wealthy. His construction empire had transformed miles of desert into gleaming monuments of ambition and engineering. His life followed traditional patterns. Married 30 years to his cousin Mariam in an arrangement that joined two powerful families. 5 children studying at elite universities in London and Boston. Publicly, he was the devoted husband and father. Privately, his appetites were more complex. The 6-hour flight provided ample time for observation and conversation. Elena moved with unconscious grace, maintaining genuine warmth even after hours of demanding service. She shifted seamlessly between languages, spoke knowledgeably about Manila's economic growth, asked thoughtful questions about Abu Dhabi's diversification efforts. Her intelligence set her apart from mere beauty. As the aircraft descended toward Abu Dhabi International, Rashid made his decision. The card he slipped into Elena's hand was understated elegance. Cream paper with his name and a private number. The $5,000 in cash sent a clear message. This wasn't romance. This was recruitment. 3 days later, Elena's phone rang. Rashid's voice was smooth, cultured, speaking perfect English with a slight Arabic accent. I hope your return flight to Manila was comfortable. I have a proposition that might interest you. The invitation was elegant in its simplicity. Dinner at Zafran, Abu Dhabi's most exclusive restaurant. First-class tickets, 5-star accommodation, all expenses paid. The terms were presented with business-like clarity. No pretense of romance. No false promises of love. I travel frequently, Elena replied carefully. I have regular layovers in Abu Dhabi. Excellent. I believe we could arrange something mutually beneficial. The meeting at Zafran confirmed what the phone call had established. Rashid required companionship. Someone sophisticated enough for business dinners, beautiful enough to enhance his image, intelligent enough for meaningful conversation. Elena would be available during Abu Dhabi layovers, social events, private dinners, cultural occasions. In return, $15,000 monthly plus gifts, a luxury apartment in Al Reem Island, and complete discretion. This arrangement would be strictly professional, Rashid emphasized, cutting into perfectly prepared wagyu. No emotional complications. No public acknowledgement. Your independence is maintained. Your career continues unaffected. Elena sipped vintage champagne, calculating rapidly. $15,000 monthly plus gifts, plus accommodation. Conservative estimates suggested she could accumulate $500,000 within 2 years. Freedom money. Escape money. I understand completely, she replied smoothly. Professional arrangement. Mutual benefit. Absolute discretion. Rashid smiled, recognizing a kindred spirit. Someone who understood that in Abu Dhabi's Golden Towers, everything had its price. Beauty. Loyalty. Silence. Elena Martinez was intelligent enough to deliver all three. The handshake that sealed their agreement was firm, confident. Neither imagined how quickly their calculated transaction would transform into obsession, betrayal, and ultimately death. Within weeks, Elena's life transformed completely. The modest hotel rooms during layovers vanished, replaced by a stunning penthouse in Al Reem Island with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Persian Gulf. Her cramped Manila apartment seemed like a distant memory. Rashid's generosity exceeded their original agreement. Designer wardrobes appeared overnight. Hermes, Chanel, Valentino. Pieces selected by personal shoppers who understood his exacting standards. Jewelry boxes accumulated Cartier watches, Bulgari necklaces, Harry Winston earrings that cost more than most people earned in a year. Each gift came with subtle expectations. Wear this to dinner tonight. Carry this handbag to the business reception. Let these diamonds catch the light during conversations with potential investors. The social calendar became relentless. Business dinners at Nobu where oil executives discussed billion-dollar projects. Private yacht parties in the Gulf where European businessmen courted Arab princes. Cultural events at the Opera House where Elena learned to navigate conversations about art acquisitions and charitable foundations. She discovered genuine appreciation for this world of fine dining and sophisticated culture. Her intelligence allowed her to contribute meaningfully to discussions about international politics and economic trends. By late 2017, her accumulated wealth exceeded $400,000. Freedom money. Escape money. The foundation for the independence she'd always craved. But freedom, Elena was about to learn, is not something you can purchase. Sometimes, it's something you have to fight for. And sometimes that fight costs everything. October 2017 brought an unexpected complication. Rashid's private yacht party celebrated a major construction contract, the type of intimate gathering where business mixed with pleasure among Abu Dhabi's power elite. Elena moved through conversations with practiced grace, her fluent Arabic impressing Palestinian construction executives, her French charming visiting European investors. Security remained discreet but omnipresent. Rashid's personal bodyguard, Tariq Hassan, positioned himself strategically around the yacht's perimeter. At 29, Tariq possessed the athletic build and alert bearing of elite protection specialists. Palestinian-Jordanian heritage, raised in Abu Dhabi, former special forces with UAE security services. 2 years protecting Rashid had earned him a reputation for absolute professionalism and unwavering loyalty. Their eyes met across the crowded deck during a particularly animated discussion about tourism expansion. Brief contact. Professional acknowledgement. But something sparked in that moment. Both understood immediately the dangerous territory such attraction represented. Tariq returned to scanning for potential threats while Elena rejoined conversations about real estate developments. But awareness lingered between them. Over the following weeks, their paths crossed frequently. Tariq accompanied Rashid to business meetings where Elena provided companionship. Brief conversations revealed shared experiences. Both were employees in Rashid's golden world. Both maintained professional masks while harboring private dreams. Their age proximity created natural comfort. A shared understanding of their positions fostered genuine connection. December brought opportunity when Rashid traveled to London for extended business negotiations. For European trips involving sensitive financial discussions, he often preferred using local security firms to avoid visa complications. His regular bodyguards weren't always necessary for low-risk business meetings in safe countries. Elena remained in Abu Dhabi, officially for rest between flights. Tariq's assignment to oversee compound security during his employer's absence provided perfect cover. Careful coordination led to their first private dinner at a small Lebanese restaurant in Old Abu Dhabi, far from Rashid's usual establishments, away from watchful eyes. Genuine personalities emerged. Tariq described growing up in Abu Dhabi, navigating cultural identity while building a career in Emirati security forces. Elena shared her middle-class Manila background, her calculated rise through the airline hierarchy, her strategic approach to accumulating wealth through Rashid's generosity. "You're not what I expected," Tariq admitted over traditional mezzi, his English accented with subtle Arabic inflections. "What did you expect?" Elena asked, genuinely curious. "Someone more calculating." "Cold. Most women in your position are." "I am calculating," she replied honestly. "But not cold. This arrangement serves my purposes, but it's not who I am." What began as mutual understanding evolved into something neither had anticipated. Stolen conversations during Rashid's business calls. Shared glances during social events. Brief moments alone when Rashid focused on construction consultations. Encrypted messages allowing secret communication. Both recognized the growing emotional intimacy despite the physical boundaries their positions demanded. The shift from professional acknowledgement to genuine attraction occurred gradually, then suddenly. A late December evening, walking from the Lebanese restaurant to the parking garage, conversation flowing naturally between them. Shared laughter about Rashid's quirks. Mutual understanding of their precarious positions. Recognition of deepening feelings neither had anticipated. The first kiss happened spontaneously in the shadows between concrete pillars. Brief, tender. Charged with months of suppressed attraction and emotional connection. Both understood immediately how drastically their world had changed. "This is dangerous," Tariq whispered, his forehead touching hers. "Everything worthwhile is dangerous," Elena replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Their clandestine relationship began with careful coordination. Meetings when Rashid traveled. Use of service entrances and staff areas for privacy. Weekend escapes to beach resorts outside Abu Dhabi's social circles. False alibis and cover stories became necessary deceptions. Growing emotional and physical intimacy competed with constant awareness of discovery's catastrophic consequences. Both understood the extreme danger. Rashid's wealth bought absolute loyalty. His power commanded fear. His cultural background demanded honor. Betrayal carried consequences neither wanted to contemplate. Yet their connection felt genuine in ways their professional relationships with Rashid never could. By early 2018 they were planning escape. Careful accumulation of resources. Coordination of departure timing. Dreams of life together far from Abu Dhabi's golden towers. Neither realized they were already being watched. This is where our story takes its darkest turn. Two people who believed they could outsmart a system designed to own them completely. Two people who underestimated the cost of defiance in a world where loyalty is purchased and betrayal is unforgivable. If you're finding this investigation compelling, please take a moment to subscribe to Crime Canvas. Your subscription doesn't just help us grow, it motivates our entire team to continue investigating cases that demand to be told. It encourages us to give everything we have to bringing you the truth. By spring 2018, Rashid's feelings for Elena had evolved beyond their original arrangement. What began as transactional companionship had transformed into genuine obsession. The married businessman, bound by traditional duty to his wife Mariam and their 5 children, found himself contemplating the unthinkable, taking a second wife. In religious tradition, a man could marry up to 4 wives with proper justification and equal treatment. Rashid's wealth certainly allowed such provision, and Elena's conversion to Islam could legitimize their relationship within cultural bounds. He began dropping subtle hints during their private dinners, speaking of permanent arrangements, discussing her potential role in his family structure. The prospect of becoming Rashid's second wife, bound forever to his golden prison, represented everything Elena was secretly planning to escape. Yet she played her role perfectly, expressing gratitude for his consideration while requesting time to contemplate such momentous decisions. The irony tortured her. As Rashid grew more devoted, planning their potential Islamic marriage ceremony, she was falling deeper in love with Tariq. Every gift Rashid presented as a courtship gesture felt like chains tightening around her. Elaborate jewelry sets appropriate for a second wife. Discussions of dedicated household staff. Plans for a separate villa where she would live as his religious spouse. Where Rashid spoke of ownership and traditional roles, Tariq offered partnership and freedom. The contrast became unbearable. Their secret meetings intensified throughout the spring as both relationships reached critical junctures. In their hidden sanctuary, Tariq provided emotional refuge from Rashid's increasing possessiveness. The psychological pressure mounted as Rashid's courtship intensified. He introduced her to family members, positioning her within Abu Dhabi's elite social structure, consulting Islamic scholars about marriage contracts. Meanwhile, Rashid's established marriage to Maryam remained dutiful but distant. 30 years of arranged union had produced children and social stability, but little passion. Maryam, raised in traditional households, accepted her husband's proposal for a second marriage as inevitable. Yet Elena's deception was becoming harder to maintain. Where once she'd managed enthusiasm for Rashid's company, now every smile required tremendous effort. His discussions of wedding preparations made her stomach turn. She caught herself staring at Tariq during social events, forgetting the danger such glances represented. By early 2018, their escape plans crystallized into desperate urgency. Wedding invitations would soon follow Rashid's family consultations. Once their union was announced publicly, escape would become virtually impossible. Elena began liquidating accumulated wealth through discreet channels while Tariq researched escape routes and documentation. The pressure affected both professionally. Elena struggled to maintain enthusiasm during Rashid's increasingly romantic gestures. Tariq's security colleagues noticed his distraction, his unusual behavior patterns. They were running out of time. May 15, 2018, arrived with deceptive normalcy. Rashid's London business trip was scheduled to last 4 days. Crucial negotiations with European construction partners about Abu Dhabi's latest mega-project. When Tariq conveniently reported food poisoning just 2 days before departure, Rashid had little reason to suspect deception. He assigned a backup guard for the London trip, unaware that Tariq had engineered his illness to remain in Abu Dhabi. Elena's flight schedule provided perfect cover. Her official layover allowed 48 hours before the next Manila flight. She told household staff she planned quiet rest after exhausting long-haul duty. They met at the private villa in Al Raha that had become their secret sanctuary. Rented under false names, furnished modestly but comfortably, it represented the only space where they could be genuinely themselves. No watchful eyes. No performance required. No fear of discovery. Or so they believed. That evening, they prepared dinner together like any ordinary couple celebrating precious privacy. Tariq grilled lamb while Elena prepared traditional Arabic mezzi, their conversation flowing naturally between Arabic and English. For brief moments, they could pretend their future together was possible, that love could overcome the dangerous reality surrounding them. As night settled over Abu Dhabi's glittering skyline, they settled onto the villa's comfortable sofa to watch an old romantic movie on a laptop. Something innocent and sweet that contrasted sharply with the complexity of their actual lives. Elena curled against Tariq's chest, his arms wrapped protectively around her, both lost in the simple pleasure of being together without deception. The film played softly as they talked about impossible dreams. A small house in Vancouver. Legitimate business partnership. Children who would grow up free from golden cages and cultural constraints. Their conversation was intimate, tender, filled with hope that defied their circumstances. Meanwhile, Rashid's London negotiations had collapsed spectacularly. European partners, uncomfortable with recent negative publicity about labor practices, withdrew from the billion-dollar project without warning. Furious and humiliated, Rashid ordered immediate return to Abu Dhabi, his private jet cutting through darkness toward home. He arrived at his compound near midnight, expecting to find Elena resting at the penthouse apartment he'd provided. The security desk reported she'd left earlier that evening for personal errands. Her car's GPS tracker, standard security protocol for all compound residents, showed a location in Al Raha, a residential area where she had no known connections. Suspicion flared immediately. Rashid's possessive nature, heightened by business frustration and wedding planning stress, demanded immediate answers. The GPS coordinates led to a villa address that meant nothing to him. Approaching the property with practiced stealth, his security team conducted perimeter reconnaissance. Lights glowed warmly in bedroom windows. 2 vehicles parked outside. Elena's sedan and Tariq's personal car. The security chief's stomach dropped as implications became clear. Rashid arrived moments later, his face darkening as he recognized his bodyguard's vehicle. The pieces assembled rapidly in his mind. Unexplained absences. Subtle behavior changes. The growing distance in Elena's responses to his marriage proposals. His intended second wife was betraying him with his own employee. They entered the villa silently, years of security training allowing them to move through darkened rooms without detection. The sound of voices and movie dialogue led them to the bedroom where soft light spilled from a partially open door. The scene that greeted Rashid destroyed his world instantly. Elena and Tariq entwined on the sofa, her head on his shoulder, his fingers stroking her hair with tender familiarity. The laptop screen cast gentle light on their peaceful faces as they watched the romantic film, completely absorbed in each other's presence. For several heartbeats, Rashid stood frozen, watching the intimate domesticity that mocked months of his courtship and marriage planning. This wasn't momentary weakness or casual indiscretion. This was love, genuine and deep, shared between two people who belonged together in ways his wealth could never purchase. The door burst open with explosive force. The silence in Rashid's private study was suffocating as security footage played on the massive screen. Frame by frame, his carefully constructed world crumbled. Months of secret meetings, passionate embraces, intimate conversations, all conducted while Elena smiled at his marriage proposals and accepted his engagement gifts. The betrayal cut deeper than any business loss or political setback he'd ever experienced. His security chief stood rigid beside the desk, waiting for orders. The man had served the Al-Zarani family for 15 years, witnessing Rashid's rage during business disputes and political conflicts. But this fury was different, primal, barely contained behind aristocratic composure. The footage revealed everything in devastating detail. Elena and Tariq meeting at the villa during his business trips. Extended conversations planning their escape while she wore jewelry he'd given her as courtship gifts. Their laughter echoing through rooms while discussing how to liquidate his gifts for travel money. The intimacy, the passion, the complete mockery of his trust. Rashid's hands clenched slowly as he watched his intended second wife kiss another man with the same lips that had thanked him for engagement presents. 6 months of deception while he'd planned their Islamic wedding ceremony. 6 months of lies while he'd consulted family elders about marriage contracts. The cultural implications staggered him. In traditional society, honor wasn't negotiable. A man's reputation depended absolutely on commanding loyalty from employees and respect from women under his protection. Tariq's betrayal violated every code of employee trust that formed the foundation of his authority. Elena's deception attacked his judgment, his masculinity, his very identity as a powerful man worthy of respect. His business associates had witnessed the courtship. Construction partners had seen him shopping for engagement jewelry. Government officials had heard him discuss plans for second marriage. The humiliation would spread through Abu Dhabi's elite circles like wildfire once word leaked. Competitors would question his judgment. Political allies might reconsider relationships with someone who couldn't control his own household. Rashid rose from his chair, pacing to floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Abu Dhabi's glittering skyline. Half those towers bore his construction company's signature. Billions in wealth. Political connections spanning governments. Social status that opened any door. Yet 2 employees had reduced him to a cautionary tale about wealthy men deceived by beautiful women and disloyal staff. The engagement ring intended for Elena lay mockingly on his desk. A 15-carat diamond surrounded by emeralds, designed specifically for second wives in Islamic tradition. Islamic scholars had already blessed the proposed union. Marriage contracts were being drafted by family lawyers. Now everything was ashes. What happened next in that compound basement remains partially obscured by walls designed for absolute privacy. Soundproof construction. Reinforced doors. No windows. No security cameras. But we know this, Elena and Tariq entered that basement alive. And they would never leave it the same way. The desert highway stretched endlessly under star-filled skies as the luxury sedan carrying Elena and Tariq disappeared into darkness. The crash site was selected with calculated precision. A dangerous curve where speed and desert winds could explain any tragic accident. Hours before dawn, the execution was methodical. The vehicle was accelerated remotely toward concrete barriers. Impact calibrated to suggest loss of control rather than deliberate action. Evidence was arranged strategically to create an unassailable narrative of romantic tragedy. At 3:47 a.m., emergency services received a call from a passing motorist reporting a vehicle fire on the remote stretch connecting Abu Dhabi to Al Ain. First responders found the sedan wrapped around concrete barriers, flames consuming evidence while leaving just enough charred remains to satisfy standard investigation protocols. The scene appeared tragically familiar. Young couple. Expensive car. Desert road notorious for speed-related fatalities. Emergency personnel had witnessed similar accidents dozens of times throughout their careers. Senior Inspector Muhammad Khalil arrived as dawn painted the desert golden. His experienced eyes surveyed the wreckage with practiced efficiency. The scene told its story clearly. Excessive speed on a dangerous curve. Loss of control. Vehicle fire destroying 2 lives in moments. Yet something troubled the inspector as he studied the burn patterns and impact angles. The positioning seemed almost too perfect. The evidence too conveniently arranged. Professional instincts honed over 20 years suggested careful staging rather than random accident. But in Abu Dhabi, where powerful families moved like untouchable forces, some observations were better left unrecorded. Some truths carried consequences that destroyed careers and endangered families. Qatar Airways released a carefully worded statement expressing profound condolences for their employee's tragic death while emphasizing her exemplary service record and dedication to passenger safety. Elena's parents, receiving news through Manila's Department of Foreign Affairs, were devastated by their daughter's sudden death. Her father, the methodical bank clerk, immediately sensed inconsistencies in official reports. Her mother, the mathematics teacher, applied analytical thinking to timeline discrepancies and suspicious circumstances. Their combined investigation revealed troubling patterns that official authorities seemed determined to ignore. Hiring private investigators proved frustratingly futile. Licensed professionals operating in the UAE faced immediate obstacles. Witnesses who suddenly became unavailable. Evidence that mysteriously disappeared. Official records that developed convenient gaps. Rashid's public response represented masterful psychological theater. His expressions of grief for losing a valued family acquaintance who had occasionally provided translation services appeared genuinely heartfelt to observers lacking complete context. Fresh flower arrangements were dispatched to Manila for Elena's funeral ceremony. Substantial charitable donations were made to flight attendant welfare organizations. Behind the compound's walls, systematic erasure began immediately. Household staff who'd suspected the affair received generous severance packages conditional on signing comprehensive non-disclosure agreements. Tariq's replacement was recruited from Jordan through intermediaries who emphasized absolute loyalty and discretion as primary qualifications. The engagement ring selected specifically for Elena was quietly returned to the jeweler's private collection without explanation or documentation. Wedding preparations were cancelled through intermediaries who asked no questions and maintained strict confidentiality. Yet whispers began circulating through Abu Dhabi's extensive expatriate networks. Flight attendants working Gulf routes shared increasingly detailed stories about colleagues who'd vanished after becoming romantically involved with powerful local figures. Human rights organizations operating in the region quietly documented Elena and Tariq's case among growing lists of suspicious deaths involving foreign workers and wealthy Gulf families. Rashid's business empire continued expanding. Construction projects reaching completion ahead of schedule. Political connections remaining solid. Investment portfolios growing substantially. Yet those closest to him noticed profound psychological changes. Increased paranoia about staff loyalty manifested in random interrogations and surveillance of employee activities. His marriage to Mariam deteriorated as unspoken guilt and suppressed rage poisoned normal family relationships. The truth survived despite exhaustive efforts to bury it beneath desert sand and official silence. Elena and Tariq's love story became legend whispered in coffee shops and shared in encrypted messages among expatriate communities. A reminder that power cannot ultimately silence genuine emotion. Wealth cannot purchase complete absolution. And some secrets refuse permanent burial. Elena Martinez dreamed of freedom and found love instead. Tariq Hassan chose loyalty to his heart over loyalty to his employer. Both paid the ultimate price for daring to believe that their lives belonged to them. Their story isn't just about two people who fell in love in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's about systems of power that treat human beings as possessions. It's about cultures where honor matters more than justice. It's about the price we pay when we dare to choose our own path in a world designed to choose for us. This is Crime Canvas, where we investigate the cases that reveal uncomfortable truths about power, privilege, and the value placed on human life. If this story moved you, if it made you think, if it reminded you that behind every headline lies a human tragedy, please subscribe. Your support doesn't just help our channel grow. It motivates us to continue investigating the cases that demand to be told. It encourages us to give everything we have to honoring the memories of those whose voices were silenced. Elena and Tariq deserved better than to become statistics in official reports. They deserved better than to have their love story buried beneath convenient lies. We tell their story so they won't be forgotten. so their truth survives. Thank you for watching Crime Canvas.